starts rolling.
And is the red button in action?
With flashing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sitting here with my ace cinematographer / what is it?
Producer?
No,
Director of photography.
Same thing, just for you folks at home who don't know the biz. I was diagnosed with cold urticaria, which means I'm allergic to the cold. So Johnny is going to film me doing a demonstration. I just took this out of the refrigerator, right, Johnny?
Yes, you did.
It's just refrigerated temperature.
Plain cold water.
Cold water, Ice Mountain. There's the refrigerator, if you want to get a look at it. My creative director, Aaron Erb, overpaid for that. He buys a $1,300 refrigerator, and the only thing in there is this and an apple. All right, so you can see my arm clearly. Correct?
Yeah, looks fine to me.
Nothing to see here. Nothing up my sleeves on my Rock hockey jersey. Let's put this on there. We're going to videotape the whole thing because we don't want to cut and make you think we're doing any Hollywood tricks editing. I could already actually feel this hand, my finger starting to swell up.
And how long has this been going on now?
It started in December of last year, so I've had it for about 8 months now. Cold urticaria basically means that you are allergic to the cold. If I go out in cold air and I'm not covered up, I get a reaction. If I hold a cold drink, I get a reaction. If I go in a cold swimming pool, it could be actually deadly to the point because all my histamines will release at the same time. My blood pressure goes to 0. My heart stops beating, and unless I get immediate medical attention from someone close by, like an EpiPen, they stab at my... Can you see that?
Although your son set you up to
My son did set me up to die because he took one of my 2 EpiPens and stabbed the floor with it. My carpet. Which fortunately he didn't stab his sister, so I guess there's always a good side to everything.
So how'd you fare in the cold rain this morning?
I was okay, but when I did take a bath this morning, which I know is kind of gay, but not that there's anything wrong with gay people. I love gay people. When I have them in my home, I let them sleep over. I let them hang out with me and my family now. And I have, actually. What was I saying? Oh, I took a bath, and I put the cold water on because I always get the handles confused.
Mm-hmm.
So I put the cold water on first, and I ran my arm under the cold water to see if it was,
yeah,
to see if it was a good temperature, and my whole arm just broke out.
See, most people have the other problem. Most people worry about burning themselves.
Correct. Yeah. Well, ironically, when I did put the bath on, I didn't make it too warm. When I put my leg in, I got a reaction because it was too fucking hot. But all right, so we've been talking for about a minute or 2 minutes. Now I'm going to take it off. You're going to see a little redness now, but really what's happening there, you can see the reaction. The reaction is caused by it getting warmed up again, and if it hives up, that means it's a positive test. You can even see maybe my fingertips a little bit. Can you see that, Johnny? Can you see with your eye? And look at... Maybe they got to... See, what happens is that they got to warm up before they have the reaction. So being on the cold...
So if you fell in a cold swimming pool, you should stay there until somebody gets you an EpiPen.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess I don't...
You should probably ask your doctor about that.
I wonder if I will. I should just test it.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
You could see the hives there already starting, correct?
Yeah, for sure. Look at that.
It's hiving up, and if that happened on my whole body, my heart, especially in a swimming pool, that's where it could be life-threatening because your whole body, all your histamines release. Like I said before, your blood pressure goes to 0. That in and of itself can kill you. Plus, you'd probably drown because you probably couldn't swim, right?
Yeah, I don't know. The hives might float you.
And I'd like to see someone trying to pull me out of a pool. That'd actually be pretty good for pretty good.
Let's look at that one more time.
Can you see it?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
I would imagine if I did that to your arm, it would not have the same reaction.
I don't think so.
And it'll get worse. I mean, I don't know how long I want to bore you fuckers with this, but I mean that endearingly. But it'll get worse first. It'll get itchy, burning, like a giant, almost mosquito bite. Sometimes I don't even notice it. when I'm exposed to it until I start scratching, and then I'm like, shit, I was holding my ice mountain like this when I was carrying it in the store or Fiji water or whatever it was. I get an outline of it. I mean,
What's the worst reaction you've ever had? That's getting
worse.
crazy. Yeah.
And it'll last for a couple hours.
Really?
Yeah.
So, all in the name of science, you've given yourself a large patch of hives on your arm?
All in the name of fun video. More just to show you, Johnny, actually. And anybody else who cares to watch it.
I appreciate that.
No problem. Did you get my Rock jersey?
I did. What's the worst reaction you've ever had to it?
The worst reaction was in the winter when I first discovered that there was a real problem. I was outside for maybe 10 minutes, and I was covered okay. I had a hockey jersey on, but like the shirt underneath it was untucked. So I got it all along, anything that was exposed, all along my belly. The trunk here, they call it the trunk when I go to I ended up going to the ER. I walked in, my whole face was like, exploded. It was like this
Really?
all red, my ears were swollen. Everything that was exposed, my hands were massively swollen, to the point where my whole family was just looking at me like, and my wife's like, I think you better go to the emergency room, which I did. And the best part about this was that every time I got it, initially I didn't know what it was, and then I finally started figuring out it was attributed to the cold. But every time I got it and I was like going to get medical care, which the first time was the emergency room, by the time I got in there, it was always gone. So I had to explain to the doctors, like, well, I think I was outside, I think it's the cold, and at the ER they just want to get you the fuck out of there. And they were trying to help, but they're like, well, just take antihistamines. Nobody, they had no idea what it was. They didn't even run any blood work.
How long did it take for them to figure out what was going on with you?
It took, well, finally I went to an allergist in the spring. It was after Memorial Day weekend when I had read a little bit online, and I kind of suspected what it was because I knew it was a reaction to the cold. And Memorial Day weekend I went to the pool with my kids, but I fortunately had enough sense. Look at that. Isn't that pretty?
That's amazing.
And I live in Cleveland, and I play hockey.
You know what you should really do? You should get yourself some stencils of some kind and ice them in the freezer and make yourself like tattoos.
Like hive
like
tattoos.
henna body art.
My other allergist, who's a sweetheart, Dr. Hong, Sandra Hong, who from the Cleveland Clinic, they did a news story at the local Fox affiliate here, and they were so excited about doing the news story that the ice piece that they made for me was a frozen butterfly. Which I'm like, come on, ladies. For them it was cute, but
Did they give you a butterfly tramp stamp with the ice cube?
Yeah,
because that would be awesome.
It was a little butterfly tramp stamp. So, well, couldn't you have done
Awesome.
a sword or something cool? Manly. What was I saying before that? That diagnosis? No.
Yeah, I said, how did they finally figure it out?
Well, that's what the test is. Actually, Memorial Day I went and I stuck my leg in the pool because I had read enough about it and suspected that I had it. I stuck my kids were swimming in the local pool, and I stuck my leg in, and it was probably, maybe the coldest. It was the 60s, the water, but I would guess it was in the 70s. Pulled my leg out, my whole foot swelled up. At that point I went to see an allergist, and then the allergist diagnosed it by, there's a picture of it right there. Diagnosed it by just doing what we just did. That's how they test it.
How'd you pick what leg to sacrifice in that swimming pool?
I think it was random.
No thought
Completely
behind it at all?
None, zero.
Interesting.
Yeah. When I did first go to the allergist, he's like, we can do there's a bunch of underlying causes that can cause this reaction. Rare cancers, rare autoimmune diseases. Syphilis actually is one of them. So when I went to the allergist, my first allergist before I went to the woman at the Cleveland Clinic, he had never seen it before. So the first thing he did is after I tested positive, he's like, "Do you mind if I show everybody in the office?" It was like freak show time. It was great. I'm like, "No, I don't care." So he shows everybody in the office, and they're all like, "Wow. Look, so you can see the actual hives now. Do you see those, the white parts?
Wow.
The raised.
Nasty.
If it doesn't raise, you don't have it. If it doesn't raise up,
Right.
you don't have it. It's just a red mark is not indicative of the condition. He's like, I can run all this blood work, but it's not necessary. But me being a hypochondriac that we all know that I am, I'm like, run everything. So he runs everything. He doesn't tell me that he runs me for syphilis. When I come back and the results get back, he's like, everything was normal. That's the good news. He's like, I even had to test you for syphilis, which was, we were laughing. I'm like, I could have told you I don't have that because you have to have sex to, I think, get it. And so that was it. Then after those tests all came back negative, he just said take antihistamines when it flares up and kind of left it at that. But he's not an expert in it. He never saw it before. So then I went on to see a specialist because it seems to be getting more and more sensitive. I mean, it was not like this. 2 minutes? When I first got it, it was not like this. When I went and saw her, she ran some more tests because she had seen it before. I actually reached out to an expert in Boston who referred me to her. And she's seen it. She's treated it. She's treating me. She knew a little bit probably more about it than my other doctor just because she was more exposed to it. And it's not helping, the treatment. So we're worried about the winter. We don't know what we're going to do.
What is the treatment?
Major doses of antihistamines, which make me fucking sleep. Where one person takes like one Claritin a day or one Allegra a day or one Zyrtec a day, I take like 3 of each a day or something crazy like that. So I started taking them not knowing, because they all say non-drowsy on the thing. I'm like, why am I so tired? And then I told my primary doctor, I'm like, man, I cannot get up in the morning. And I told him what she had me on. He's like, there's no human being that can withstand that. So it being summer, I just stopped and I went back to Dr. Hong and talked to her about, let's just put it together. I'm like, it's summer out,
Right.
I'm not going to, unless someone throws me in a pool, I'm not going to have a major reaction. So right now the plan is to start figuring out how we're going to handle the winter. And it could be bad enough that I may end up having to move to a warmer climate, and that's definitely on the table. So in a perfect world, I'd have both of my middle fingers swollen right now, and I can end it with a big fuck you, but didn't plan properly as usual, Johnny, in our filmmaking. Any other questions?
That's it.
People, I love you. Thank you for paying attention to my story.